Thank you so much. I'm already running this session few minutes before the time so that I can have a sound check and see if I can have the technology cooperating with me. So bear with me. I'm going to just have a sound check. Thank you so much. Yes, it works. So I'm going to now close that so that I can have a sound check. Okay, technology is not really my thing, but I'm doing the best that I can to make it work. So we are live on LinkedIn and we are live on YouTube also. So thank you so much. This session is a special session because I will invite anyone. Feel free on the comments, on the details, and on my feed. You will see a link to attend this session so that you can be on stage if you want. So it is a session about the power of words and mental health. And this is such important for me because I realize that the most difficult is the words that I tell to myself. So right now I'm going to fade the music so that you will be able to hear more my voice. And there is a confirmed guest that will come as sooner as possible in few minutes, Sharon Birn. And there are surprise guests, and you can be one of the surprise guests. I shared the link, so feel free to join the stage because I would like to hear your voice. And you can also post in the comments on LinkedIn. I will track them as soon as possible. And if I don't see your comments on LinkedIn, but you posted, apologize. It's one of the LinkedIn difficulties right now, but it's okay. We are live, and so it's amazing. So I posted the link to the stage below. Normally it will work. So guess what? I'm going to try it in my way, but I don't know if it will work. So this is just a test for me, but it's amazing. So normally, will it work? Will you see me twice? So this is my test because yes, and of course the sound is not. So it works. So it's amazing. And now we have Sharon who is there. Thank you, Sharon, for joining us.
Thank you, Ali. Sorry for the late entrance. I was having technical issues, but I'm here now.
There is just one rule in my session: never say sorry.
Okay. Sorry, not sorry. Technical issues.
Don't say no result, not sorry. You are welcome. It's such a blessing to see you. Amazing.
You as well. I'm so excited to be here with you. This is awesome.
Yeah, so now we are, I'm really amazing because I can check also the technology. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well.
And so we could also. That's amazing. So, Sharon, what led you to join this room when it comes to the power of words?
I have always loved languages and words. I've always loved vocabulary and reading. I was the type of person, even as a young child, who, when I came across a word that I didn't understand or didn't know, I would literally look it up in the dictionary before I would go on. Um, and so, vocabulary has always been something that has intrigued me. Words, I think that words are very powerful, and I know that's kind of the topic we're going to discuss today. But I was intrigued by the fact that words are art, and how you use them. It's like a canvas. Even when you're having conversations with people, how you use your words really there's an art to it. I believe. So that's part of what led me to want to be in this room today. And I think the other thing that led me to want to co-host with you, Ali, is that our words are very powerful, and I think that we need to be more intentional with how we use our words, because our words have quite an impact on ourselves and everybody around us. And how we choose to use our words can does not can does have a lasting impact on the people who are the receivers of our words, and our words can get imprinted in their in the fiber of their being. And so for me, I choose to be intentional with my words, so that my words that are becoming the fiber of somebody's being, intentionally or unconsciously or consciously, I want it to be a positive impact. And am I perfect? No. Do I hurt people unintentionally with my words sometimes? Of course. But I really make a concerted effort to understand, to remember and understand that my words can really make the difference in whether somebody's having a good day or a bad day, or turning somebody's day around, and even their self-esteem around. So those are the things that drew, besides just being able to co-host with you, um, because that was a big draw for me too. I love collaborating with you and sharing with you and our audiences together. But those were the things around words that drew me to want to do this with you today.
Thank you so much. And I do understand that we have quite common points, because when I was a child and an adolescent, but especially as a child, I went sometimes in my grandparents' place, seeing my grandmother, my grandfather, and my godfather that lived in their home since his death. So it's a kind of another story in itself, because he was always there in the house of his parents. It was like a bit like kept off stage. But at the same time, when I went to my grandfather and grandmother place, I loved so much my grandmother cooking. She was
Mm-hmm.
cooking her buttered potatoes. I don't know if it's the term in English, because in French it's pommes de terre rissolées, like
Mm-hmm.
potatoes with butter and mushrooms. And I got the mushrooms of my grandfather because he didn't like mushrooms, and so it
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. I was having his part, and but I was also playing with him with crosswords. We had these kinds of old books that no one nowadays has. We still have books, but who has still crossword books? It's really not so much common. But we used to. But it was like a time without before internet, before 95, even before
Mm-hmm.
90, and even before 46 or 45. I was I was 80 years old at 44, 85. Sorry, 85. Sorry. And I was playing crossword, and I was discovering words, especially these words. When there are one or two cases in the grid, like a word that is common use in French and also in English. In English, I think it's as, as, which is
Mm-hmm.
the special one number of the card. There is
Mm-hmm.
the three, the four, up to the 10. Then
Yep.
there, in French, there is it's called the valet, la reine, et le roi, which is the servant, the queen, and the king. And then there is the joker, and then
Mm-hmm.
the as, the number one, that will
Mm-hmm.
have special powers in some games of the cards. So and also the words oc, OC, which is a language, an old language, la langue d'oc and la
Mm-hmm.
langue d'oil. And by the way, it's amazing because in France there is a region that is Languedoc, but it's like Langdoc, and the complete name is Languedoc-Roussillon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing how we now see in the regions some parts of the language. So I was going to discover words through crosswords, and of course, my grandparents and godfather were huge fans and subscribers of some some magazines. The one in Belgium that is called Testachat is like a magazine to test the quality of the products, or could be electrical devices or ice creams. So it was quite broad, and also Radar Digest. I think it's really as famous as National Geographic. Reader Digest, where
Yeah, I loved Reader's Digest as a kid.
yeah,
And
me too. I don't tap in that anymore since more than 20, 30 years.
yeah,
But at that
yeah,
time, I was loving to read that. And I'm not sure they were receiving it for free, but they were probably having offers to buy some things from the
yeah,
Writer Digest. So that was amazing because I realized that even at that time, they were having satellites, which means collaborations for regions. Their offers in US were not the offers in Europe, for instance, because I received from them an anthology box of the whole discography of Jacques Brel, which is a French song musician that is really famous as Edith Piaf or Yves Montand in France, or Aznavour, or Salvatore Adamo, which is really famous all around the world. And I received also they received a dictionary in 3 volumes, and
hmm,
the dictionary was 68. So it was amazing to realize that they were a member of Radar Digest probably in the 70s already.
yeah.
That's amazing. And so this dictionary right now I can it's live. So I have my little chest below my sofa that I try to
Mhm.
open. I have my dictionary. This is live, my friends. I have my dictionary, who is
Uh-huh.
like there is an expression dans son jus, that means in its juice. You see all the cracks and like
Yep,
the
yep,
pages are quite really it's really wow. It's really you see the already the
yep.
pages are a bit like displaced, but it's really amazing because it's about um, the different illustration. I'm trying to get to a page where there are kind of a huge illustration. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
that's
was really
cool.
cool. And I love because I will always keep my little index. When I was 9 years old, I think, or 8 years old, or 10, I don't know. But I wrote an index. This is probably 35 to 38 years old or more. This paper,
Wow,
and because I was
wow.
like there is the some ink that is quite fading yet. For instance, I would like to see an illustration about the wine, and it's of course it's the V, so it's the end of the dictionary, and it's the page 975. So that allowed me
Wow.
to go directly to the page 975 that I'm just going to go through right now. And here we come, the illustration about the wine. And it's a small illustration, but it's really to have the vocabulary, the different
Yeah, no, I
uh,
that's cool.
yeah. So
Yeah,
for
that's
me,
really cool.
it was amazing because that's my passion about language, and I'm now going to put my index be inside the dictionary so that it's really kept, because I know myself. I know that if I don't place things in place, then it's going to be somewhere. I don't want to lose
Oh,
this
trust
index.
me, I'm right there with you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to add too, Ollie, that I loved word game. I still do, but even as a child, I loved word games like Scrabble and Boggle and word search puzzles. I wasn't a big crossword fan. I did do them, but I wasn't as big of a crossword fan as I was a word find or a word search type puzzle. But any word game that came out, I had to have. My mom is and was an avid reader and a love of books and language and words. So I that's for me where where I developed it. My grandmother too, my mom's mom especially, loved she loved playing games in general, specifically card games and word games. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
it was just part of what I did, and it was just part of my. Hey, Jesse,
And hi, Jesse.
Hello, everyone. Hey,
how are
Sharon.
Hello,
Hey,
you?
and
Ali.
hello,
I'm doing
Jesse, and
good.
thank hello, Jesse, and thank you for your patience. I hope that we you were not waiting too much.
Not at all. Not at all. Patience is a virtue, and I can't wait to be a part of this conversation with the two of you guys. Thank
It
you.
Oh,
is
thank you
it
so
is
much,
a
Jesse.
true honor to see you here, Jesse. Good afternoon.
Exactly.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
So,
because it's the first time that I see you in my room, so it's a blessing to meet you and to know more about you. So, could you describe you in few sentences?
Sure. So my name is Jesse, and I'm from New York City, and I have a health and wellness company called Golden Army Fitness, and we focus on physical fitness, nutrition, mental health, and meditation. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So I pretty much work 7 days a week, and I provide different forms of counseling, motivational speaking, and I work and collaborate with other brands, and I do a lot of community work as far as dealing with the seniors, helping with children, and anything that's community oriented, I'm pretty much around that.
oh, he's being very modest right now, but yes, he's very much around that for sure. Jesse, like you, Ollie, and I know that you guys will probably say like you too, Sharon, but I don't want to toot my own horn. But his energy and his passion transcend being. Honestly, if I Jesse's like a good cup of coffee because
Ooh,
he just gets you going. So,
wow!
and if
I
you
have
don't
a
like
gift for
coffee,
you.
and if you
You
don't like coffee and you like tea, then he's like your favorite cup of tea because this man will get you going. Even if you think you're not going until you've had a dose of Jesse. Trust me.
wow, wow, wow.
So
So,
yeah.
Jesse, I hope you don't mind. I will just take a break for a few seconds because I need water. But I have a surprise for you. While I take some water. So
Well,
go ahead.
while Ollie's taking some water, Jesse, I know from getting to know you that you very and the fact that you do like me do motivational speaking and you motivate others to live their best life and their healthiest life. What makes words so important to you?
Hmm. For me, the power of words can just move mountains and it changes everyone's perspective. If you're using the right words, it changes how you feel and it motivates you to be actionable about yourself and it can inspire. It doesn't even have to make sense as far as knowing the proper language. If you add the right intensity behind your words, it changes everything. So I think the power of words is the most important thing in this world. Now, once you understand what words to use, you're able to really break into the hearts and souls of minds of others because once you open up the heart and soul of someone else, that changes everything. So the power of words
Yeah.
truly are amazing to me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Jesse, because you know that's why I was saying before you joined us that I try to be very intentional with the words that I use, not only when speaking to others or in an event like this, but also when I'm speaking to myself, um, because I know, and I'm very transparent about this, and I've come a long way, but like most people, I'm my own worst critic. And I grew up with a lot of bullying and criticism, and I wound up taking over where the bullies left off, even after the bullies had stopped, because it had just become such a automatic thing in my life. So it took me a it now I'm I can reframe thoughts and feelings and words, but it took me a while. And so
Yeah.
that's why words are so important to me. Well, words are important to me for all the reasons I've already said. I grew
Mhm.
up loving words and language and vocabulary, but it's important to me because words leave an indelible mark
Very
on
true.
anybody. And if they're positive words, then they're motivating, and they bring you forward. If they're critical words or
Hmm.
perceived as critical, even if you don't mean it to be that way, that indelible mark stays with a person really forever. The
Hmm.
person can learn to overcome and reframe, but there will be times in their life, if we're being honest and transparent about this subject, that they will be triggered,
Of
and
course.
it will bring them back to that moment of, the indelible negative imprint that it
Exactly.
left. So for me, it words are extraordinarily powerful, and part of my mission is to help people become more intentional,
Hmm.
more aware of their word choice,
Hmm.
because your word choice not only affects those that you interact with, but your word choice affects you
Hmm.
as yourself.
Right.
And so, words can be very motivational. And I agree with you that once you learn the right or the more effective words to use,
Yes.
it also becomes about your intonation and how and the message you put around the words,
Hmm.
because you can politely tell someone where to go, you know, and they they may not be aware of it. So
Yeah.
it's words and the words and the intonation that are and the connotation that are put with those words that
Hmm.
make a very big difference. And I think it's all of those things combined that we really need to be intentional about. But
Hmm.
before we can be intentional about the latter two, we need to just be very intentional about the word, the actual words themselves.
Exactly.
So
I
yeah.
agree. I agree. Words are spells. It's like when you're saying something, you're casting a spell on someone else. And usually, if you're talking to someone longer than 10 minutes, you have an intention. And so your words are meant to get an impact into that person's psyche and trigger them to react to your words. So when we talk, have a little empathy, have some understanding, have care, just like you're saying, tone, pitch, your objective in your words. And the way, like you said, the words that you use can show where you're from. It shows your upbringing. It shows what you've been reading, what you've been watching on social media. The words that you continuously use are what you're going to be judged by when you enter a room and when you leave the room, because it's that imprint for the last word and the first word that's going to be stuck in the person's mind. You can talk for an entire hour, but it's that first word sometimes and that last word that they're going to
Yeah.
remember. So be intentional about the development of what you're saying and try to push people in a direction to help them. Don't just be a person who speaks to take energy. You have to give energy back to them so they can be amplified and come back to you with another conversation that gets the conversation really going.
It just you brought something to my mind that I have to share right now.
Yeah.
It's because the words our words emote feeling.
Hmm.
And so the first word you use and the last word you use, right? When you
Yeah.
when you leave a room, you're leaving the person with a feeling. You're starting off with a feeling and you're leaving with a feeling.
True.
So, and it's the feeling that stays with I know people say the words stay with people,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying that they don't. Certain words will stay with people, the effect those words have, but the word will stay, but it's more because of the feeling that it evoked
Hmm.
in that person. And
Exactly.
so you make such an important point, Jesse. Um, you know that I'm sure Ali and I were going to bring up at some point in some way, but you said it so eloquently. But let's remember that words are meant to evoke feeling, to
Hmm.
evoke an image,
Hmm.
and those images and feelings are what you're going to leave people with, and
Yep.
that's what you're going to start off with.
It's true.
So I don't think any one of us, any of the three of us, want to make people paranoid about their word choice.
Right.
because none of us are perfect. We're perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to screw up with our words sometimes, or we're going to do something unintentionally most times with
Mm-hmm.
our words.
Yeah.
The key there is own it.
Mm-hmm.
If you see that your words have inadvertently hurt someone,
Mm-hmm.
then say so. You know, I say this now, and I'm completely open and honest about this. I will never again in my life apologize for having a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but what I will apologize for is two things. One, I will apologize if my feeling overrode my delivery,
Mm-hmm.
and I will apologize for the impact that that delivery or that behavior, which equates for me to the delivery,
Mm-hmm.
has impacted the person. But I will never apologize for having the feeling or expressing my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's because to me, I've come to learn that that's a very big difference
Mm-hmm.
between the two. So
I agree.
Ali, are you hydrated now and refreshed? And what would you
I'm
like to add?
drank a little sip of tea, and let me tell you, Jesse and Sharon, you are a remarkable leader. That's also the power
That's
to
very
surround
nice.
yourself
Very
with
nice.
Thank
words,
you.
to surround yourself with words that could uplift you. And I was drinking my favorite thing, which is yogi tea. And I love this because it's always having the words. So
Mm.
use your head to live with heart. So that's
I
also
love
I
it.
love that.
That's very
the
cool.
blessing to
Very
have
cool.
the yogi tea, which are containing words also with their
Mm-hmm.
tea. So that's kind of amazing. When and then the second surprise, because probably months and years ago, I will say that the best chocolate is from Belgium because I'm from Belgium. But now, since few weeks, I know that the best chocolate is from Trinidad and Tobago
I love that.
because I received an amazing gift from Janneke from Trinidad and Tobago,
Nice.
and then I can greet her. I think the word is greet her, because I don't I it's not a chocolate that you are eating like that, you know. You
Mm-hmm.
have to use it because it's 99% of cacao, so it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And aside that, I am totally agreeing with you, because words, it's about feelings. And by the way, it's not easy for ourselves to catch our words. But now that I'm aware that it's even better to replace the but by the and, because but means that you are disagreeing with the sentence that is below.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So to say it's better to say yes, but no, it's better to say yes and.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing the same
That's
thing.
true.
Somebody brought that my
True.
attention a few years ago, I guess. And so now I really work hard at saying things can be a yes and or a no and,
Right.
Mhm.
no and this,
Right.
because but does negate whatever you put before it.
Mm,
And
yeah.
nobody's thoughts, feelings, or opinions or ideas should be negated. You don't have to
Mm,
agree with somebody's choice of words, but you don't have
mm,
to disagree with how they feel that they need to communicate and get their message across, unless it's hurting, unless it's doing damage systemically or even doing damage to somebody. And you're part of that. Then yeah, speak up.
Mm.
But when you do speak up, I want to encourage people to speak up from a place of empathy, like Jesse said, compassion, because maybe people aren't as enlightened as to the impact of the power of words. Or
Yeah.
maybe they don't know any differently because maybe they were on the receiving end
Mm-hmm.
of words being used harshly
Right.
towards them. So they have nothing, they have no, they have no counterbalance to that.
Mm-hmm.
People do
mm,
Often people do what they know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I encourage anybody out there to challenge yourself when you're being triggered by somebody else's words. Ask yourself, what's triggering you? Where might the trigger be coming from? And if it's something from your own past um, and your own experiences, sorry, I couldn't think of the word, um, ask yourself how you can reframe it.
Mm-hmm.
And reframing is actually a learned skill. So if you need help with learning how to reframe words and the impacts that they've had on you, you can reach out to me, reach out to Jesse, reach out to Ollie. We can help you learn how to reframe these things so that they reframe these experiences and these words so
Mm-hmm.
that they actually serve you and
Yeah.
help you move forward
Mm-hmm.
rather than help you keep you stagnant or move you backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
And
agree.
love
you're
the
not
word
alone.
reframe.
Thank
I,
you.
I love the word. I love the word reframe because it's about there are something that was part of our identity before, but we decide this is not anymore entering in my new version of myself. This is
Hmm.
get out. So it's about reframe. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks everyone for watching and also the team replay. I acknowledge that my camera is a bit like foggy. It's like I'm having huge technical changes right now. So I'm next week I will have my camera, but now I decided to use my laptop. So that's why it's a bit foggy with my webcam. But
It's it,
it's like
it's
I cannot really clean it. You see. So it's like it is what it is, and I will have my camera for the next time. But I was thinking, oh,
The message is resonating anyway, so you don't even have to
that's
worry
what
about that. The
you
message
beat me.
resonates, so it's
You
okay.
beat me
that's
to
it.
it.
It's
Your
because I
message is
have my
coming.
best.
Your
It's
message is
because I
coming
have
through your words and your intonation, which is what we're
yes,
saying.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
So
and it's
it actually, we can see you, by the way, and you can be
yes,
seen pretty well, but it actually might help for people. Thanks. I saw that right back at you. But
yes,
anyway, it actually helps make the point of, you know,
Words. It's true.
words.
If you're listening,
yes,
you can hear what's being said and you can get a feeling from the words. And if you're intentional about your listening practices and actively listening, you can interpret it by just being present in the moment and not rushing through. And a lot of times people aren't being present. If we spend like 5 to 10 seconds to be present, hold fast and be still and hear the words and let them come into your brain and visualize what you're hearing, then you can respond intelligently and get a conversation going that can actually last longer than 2 minutes. That can actually be useful to both of you and even exchange where it's not just a take. It's more of a giving where it's universal. And I think those type of things are actually being missed. Being present in the moment to hear the words, having the right mindset. And when you have the right mindset, you're able to walk anywhere and speak about anything because you know that you're not trying to threaten anyone. You're trying to speak about a thought or idea that you have in your mind, and you're being intentional with your words. You're not just being reckless and just trying to be a verbal abuser. You're being aware of the situation and you're reading the room. Another thing they said, read the room. So you're reading the room and you're getting the trajectory. Okay, this is what I should say. This is how I should go about it. And each room is different. And so, a business atmosphere, whether a party atmosphere, whether it's something very somber, you have to know what words to use, how to decipher. If you're talking to a different person from a different country, you have to know sometimes the traditions, you have to know the greetings. You should always be present in the moment and not think that I know what I want to say, but look at what's being said, look at how it's being said, and how it's being delivered. And I think conversations and the right words will come when you're doing those particular things.
yeah,
I
and
I
it's because
so agree with you.
I
Hmm.
have my best friend Marsha who is there, and I salute Marsha. Thank you, and everyone, feel free to comment also on LinkedIn or pop on the stage. I brought the link on the stage, so feel free because it's a free discussion. Everyone is welcome.
And I want to just take a moment, Ali, if I may, to thank everybody who's listening and watching. And please, if you have, we want to open the stage for discussion and comments. So if you have comments, We want to know what they are. We want to know what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what your words want to say.
Oh,
So please,
here it
oh,
is. So the first comment
yep,
ever from Marsha with a
yep.
big heart.
Hey, Martha, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I think to Jesse's point of, listening, and I think part of the reason sometimes we get in trouble with our words, or we don't know what words to use, is because when we're in conversation with people, um oftentimes we're not listening for
Mhm.
what to hear. We're not listening for what they're actually saying. We're listening with what we think they're going, especially if it's somebody we know. We're
Mhm.
listening for what we think they're going to say, and we're already formulating our response in our head. So we're not really hearing what they're saying.
Exactly.
So now you're responding to what you thought they were going to say, and oftentimes that's not where they were going.
Good
And
point.
it takes the conversation into a whole new stratosphere that it wasn't meant to go. And that brings me back to part of the reason it takes it into that stratosphere is because now you're leaving them with a feeling that they're responding to. Because
Yes.
remember, we said words emote feelings. So when you
Yeah.
respond, when you're formulating a response before you've even really heard what the person has said, you could potentially be taking that feeling tone in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So a conversation that was supposed to go straight just took a hard left, and
Right.
now you're going down a whole different thing. And
Right.
you're also dealing with the personal or individual's experience around the words that you've just used. Because remember, when we come into any interaction, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we know it or not, because many times it's subconscious and unconscious, we're bringing all of our past interactions with us. And that includes all of our past interactions with certain words that were used by other people. So
Mm-hmm.
even if the people that we're currently communicating with don't mean that word that way, oftentimes that's not how we're going to their meaning is
Mm-hmm.
not how we're going to hear it. We're going to hear it from
Ooh.
its origin within our experience.
True. Very true, Sharon. Very true. I agree.
Hi, Marsha. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
How are you?
Hey, Marsha.
Hi, everyone. I do want to apologize. I won't be able to be on camera, but
It's
I
okay.
just wanted to stop in. I came in late, but this conversation is certainly hitting home. It's hitting home so much that I'm having an event this afternoon with Brenda Leese about social media and, communication, right, on this
Mm-hmm.
on any platform. So hello Sharon, hello Jesse, great to see
Hello.
you. Ali Soul Brother, great to see you. So I am going to catch up here with you. So it's Saturday, mental health, the power of words. Yeah, in the messages, in private messages, we consistently get messages, right? Um, but also in person when you communicate with folks, and you never know how they're going to react to what you're sharing. Um, in the field of my work, I always tend to want to help, and sometimes people don't want to be helped. They just want to be heard. They just want to share, and they just want you to listen. And
Mm-hmm.
so having to learn to educate myself on not pushing myself onto people to being of service, that has certainly been an eye opener. And actually, this happened recently. Um, also, when it comes to the way we communicate in chat, when it comes to the way we communicate in the messages, people can't see our reactions unless you send an emoji, right? So I'm big on emojis. But even
Mm-hmm.
that, sometimes, depending on the person and how they're going to take the message as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to walk on eggshells, and I don't want any of my friends walking on eggshells. And so if you're part of my community, our community, because we're all connected somehow, we should be able to speak to one another in a respectful manner. And the moment that gets out of hand, which it recently happened, it's the moment where you have to take a step back and really look at the bigger picture. Am I the problem? Are they the problem? What is the big problem here?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're not the problem. There's internal problems happening within them. And so the way that they handle situations is by being disrespectful, in not a nice way. And I don't think anyone should have to tolerate that at any age, because we're adults. We should be able to have our own views on what we like, what we don't like. And, we should be able to have these conversations.
It's true. Very
You
true.
made me think, because what you said is so true on so many levels. And I just want to say, first of all, I do understand what you mean, that we're adults and we should be able to have our opinions and be able to express them. But I also want to say that children should be able to express their opinions and learn how to do so at a younger age appropriately, because it is a learned skill. And I grew up in a generation where I was taught children should be seen and not heard, making it very difficult for me to express my emotions. And I am working really hard with my son and the children that I am impacting in the generation after me, to make sure that they know that they can express their emotions, and that they need to, and they need to be able to express their opinions, because if they don't learn to do it in a safe and effective way when they're young, then it's just going to, affect them going forward in their adult life. And the other thing that I wanted to say that resonates so deeply with me is choosing your words when you're speaking to others or speaking to yourself is also, believe it or not, and I know this could be another room and maybe it will be, but it bears bringing up here too, because it relates. Choosing words, whether you're the recipient of the words or you're using the words to yourself, there needs to be boundaries around words. Meaning, you have to create boundaries around the words that you'll allow yourself to use when talking to yourself, so that you can learn not to be your own worst critic. And you need to, as you said, Martha, be able to walk away from some and have a boundary around what words you are going to allow somebody to use around you, about you, in your presence. And if they can't make the adjustment because of what's going on for them, then it is 1000% okay for you to make the choice to walk away, and even tell them that you're walking away if you choose, because of their word choice. Because words definitely relate to mental health. And, so it's something that we really need to consider. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
It's true. Well said, Sharon. Well said.
I'm going to step away for 3 seconds to let my dog out, and I'll be right
Okay,
back.
super.
So Ali, I know we've experienced this. Growing up, I've experienced bullying in middle school, and particularly, and when I'm now an adult, and sometimes I'm like really shocked to still see this happening, even in the corporate world, right? And even sometimes, right, family members could even do that to us. So having those boundaries of saying, no, you will not speak to me this way, or no, I don't have to listen to this. I respect your views, but no, and just keep it pushing. But don't get insulted, don't insult others. Just be respectful, So I love that. We all have the freedom to speak and to think how we want to think. And hello, Dr. Constance.
Hello. How are
Hey,
you, Dr.
CJ. Amazing. Feel free to join
You
the
should
stage
come
also.
up too.
I posted the link below. So hello, CJ. You are welcome because you are also the queen of words, I'm sure.
Yes. So I'll pass the mic over. I don't know. I'm dropping the mic. Dun dun
So
dun.
I will
No,
take the
I agree
mic.
with you, though. I definitely
Thank
agree.
you for your
I agree.
thank you for your contribution, and you made up you brought up a very, very good point about the importance of boundaries. And yes, there can be boundaries around words, and that's why I, expanded on what you were saying, because the boundaries have to be created for what we're saying to ourselves and what we allow for others to say to us and around us.
Yes, that's very true. Sometimes the environment too. What are you doing every day as far as what are your habits? What are your routines? What are you looking at on social media? Who are you talking to? Who are your role models? Who are your mentors? What is your perspective on life? And how were you raised by your parents, whether you have parents or not? And what's the neighborhood like? Because that really reflects on how you speak to yourself. And based on that, that's how you're going to project your energy or project your ideals to others. Most of what we're dealing with is usually stuff that's related to our childhood, unmet needs or unnourished values. And when we have unmet needs or unnourished values, we go to our lowest state, which is defense mechanisms. And so when we have a defense mechanism, we lash out at the first person, whether it be in the streets, whether it be in an office building, whether it be in a household with your parents or your family. You're lashing out because you're usually hurt and you don't know how to have accountability and you don't know how to break down these problems. You have to break down each thing inside of your mind first in order to understand what it is. You have to break down, okay, I have issues with my dad. And so whenever I have a masculine member, a masculine male around me, I'm going to attack. I have issues with my mother. So whenever I see a masculine or a submissive woman or a submissive man, I'm going to lash out because the people that are around you are usually reflections of the reality that you were either in as a child or something you're going through right now. And based on that, the words are going to be used either in a defensive manner or in a receptive manner. So we have to always look at the environment that the words are actually in existence and in growing in. We have so many words that are coming at us left and right, and we wonder, why did I just say that to that person? It's because of the environment or something you just heard in a song. These
Hmm.
things are constantly bombarding your subconscious to where you wake up thinking about things that aren't even in your mind. These things are happening to you while you're sleeping because we have so many negative influences, whether it be words on the wall, because the words are picked up by our subconscious. And if we constantly have these words or images around us, we're going to behave based on those influences, just like advertising. If you keep showing the same thing over and over and over,
Yep.
eventually you might want that soda. Eventually you might want to go buy those shoes. Eventually you might go want to curse that person out because these things are sometimes not your own thoughts. That's why a lot of the words that are coming out of another person's mouth that sound negative is not really them. It's the lack of resource and it's the influx of negative energies that's being projected from others. And we're
Yep.
talking and saying things, but we're not even realizing what we're saying because we're so defensive because we have unmet needs and we're not meeting the needs. We're not using the proper language to get into our own souls. And when our soul is not being awakened with the right words, we're usually in an attack posture. Just like you're a defensive when you're an animal, you're trying to attack, you're trying
Yep.
to project dominance. And we use words to project dominance because we don't want to be hurt because we never address our own hurts. And I think the more we talk and exchange languages, we begin to learn. And when you experience life other than the environment that you're in, that really helps to shape your language. That helps to shape your tone. That helps to shape
Yep.
your eye movements. Because when you're talking like in a certain way, you have to think about what you're doing with your body too. Your posture has a lot to do with your words. How you
Well,
stand, whether you move back or you move forward. These
body
things
language.
affect your words so fast. And I think we have to think about all the aspects of a human being and a human body. And that's how we get down to the I guess to the bare bones of it.
The way I think of body language, because body language is 85 to 90% of communication.
Yes, it
So
is.
body language is another set of words.
It is.
It's
It
just
is.
an unspoken set of words,
It is.
an inaudible set of words. But your body language is very powerful.
It's
So
true.
you do need to be aware of your body language, and you need to get better at it. It can benefit people to get better at reading other people's body language.
Yes.
Ollie, you want to say something?
That's it. That's my body language, by the way. So, Jesse, you are on fire. Amazing. I love. So, I would like to say
No,
to
appreciate
CJ, thank you for your contribution and good vibes for your voice and you heal well. So, she says that is why it's so important to have awareness. Certain things do trigger us, but knowing who is really for us, healing is so much faster. I am careful on who is in my circle. And then she says, also get rid of people around you who is not for you. So I was thinking
Yeah.
also the the first level is awareness about the words
Yes.
that we receive from others and awareness about the words that we transfer to others because more
Mhm.
and more I feel like the puzzle pieces are getting more and more in my landscape that as we are reproducing 95% of our past because our brain is lazy is like we can probably change more but normally we change probably 5% each day, so it means that all the words that come through us each day are the repetition of the words from the past or of the expression. For instance, I heard for few persons something that is really striking me about the expression. You hit the nail on the head, and for me it's like
Mhm.
if I well understood, you need the nail on the head. So it's like the expression of the words could really um, be destructive, I think, even though it's innocent. But
Hmm.
it's like I am dead. Like I am too tired. I am dead. No,
Mhm.
I'm not. I'm still probably low energy, but I'm still alive. So
Right.
it's like the power of words, and then
Mhm.
also to allow ourselves to express to people your words are not uplifting me. So the other person has to be aware first, and then they has to be willing to change their words toward us. If
True.
yes, good, we can continue the relationship. If no, it's up to us to decide. Okay, then good. I wish you well, but I'm going to go away from you and wish you well. So that's it. So
Yeah.
thank you again for your comment, CJ, and feel free also everyone to
And
comment. So now I'm
yeah,
passing the mic.
thank you for everybody's comments. And I just wanted to say that um, I do think that it's our responsibility, each one of us individually, to take ownership of our words. And it's also our responsibility to be around people, to Dr. CJ's points and to Martha's points and to all of our points, Ollie and Jesse and myself. You can choose to be around people who are going to elevate you and support you and people that you want to do the same for.
Mhm.
You don't have to be around people that are using their words to hurt you or
Mhm.
to hurt others. I'm going to be very transparent right now. I have left groups and things online, and I have left groups in person, so to speak, offline, because while I might still agree with some of the people in that group, and I may still be friendly with them now, I don't agree with some of the wording they were using within the group. And so or not even their wording. I don't agree with wording that somebody else was putting out in the group.
Mhm.
So I'll remain friends with the people that are using positive wording in the group, but I won't remain in that group because there's other people that are bringing negative energy around and being hurtful with their words. And I truthfully believe, and I know this is hard to do in today's world, but I believe there are ways that we can do it safely. And I believe there are ways that we need to get back to this. When you don't say something, even if it's through silence, if you don't say something, then you're equally at fault
Mhm.
for perpetuating the problem. And please remember one other thing: silence is a word.
Mhm.
I know people don't view it that way often,
Very
but
true.
sometimes the best thing you can do is just be silent. just listen, and also be silent in a situation where if you don't agree with what someone's saying, but you want to remain in the group and in the conversation, then just don't say anything. Don't support something that you don't agree with, but also don't not stand up for something that you do.
True.
Wow.
That's the power of
Well said,
words.
Sharon. Well said.
Wow.
Well
Thank
said.
you.
Thank you,
I agree with
Sharon. I agree also. And I was, when you said that, it's also important for me. It's like listening. There are moments where you can have the willing and the power of listening, but you
that. Mhm.
don't use this power 24/7. You don't listen at the same intensity when you are in front of the cashier, when you are doing your shopping, than when you are in front of a friend, a dear friend who is telling you their challenges. So it's the same about paying attention and using silence or disagreeing. Does it? Is it? Is I think about the energy. Does it worth the energy?
Mhm.
Say I disagree,
Mhm.
because if it's like a group that you meet once in a month or once in a year, and you just meet for 20 30 minutes, you are not going to jump in a fence to say I disagree, because it's like it doesn't it's used too much your energy. But if it's a dear friend that you feel the psychological safety, you can stand and say, okay, I'm at some point I love what you said, but in this particular thing, I disagree with you, because
Mhm.
I truly believe also that um, even if it's challenging, it's better to express our disagreement than to silence ourselves, to say I'm not disagreeing with this person because I want to be quiet or whatever, because it's like not being in love of ourselves, of our difference. That it's the differentiation. That's the me too. I'm agreeing with you because I don't want any friction, any. At some point it's good, but at some other point it's important to disagree, because then
Sure.
else you are not being kind with yourself, and you
Exactly.
are in the carpet.
It's true. You're hurting them. Also, you're hurting the person that you're agreeing with. Because if you keep like, yeah, yeah, it's great, I love it, but reality, you're sending them off the cliff. And they don't know they're walking off that cliff. You're watching them walk off
Exactly.
that cliff. Like, yeah, it's perfect. Keep going. I love it. But another guy like, hey man, you're about to walk off that cliff. Oh, I didn't know that. So they're gonna get more mad at you because you never told them. And that creates more friction. And that creates a friction that you don't want to deal with, because ultimately you have to be accountable for where you want to go in your life, the words you want to use, the books you want to read, the people you want to love, the people you want to work with. You have to be intentional and be accountable and set a routine and a mindset that helps you bring in the life that you want, which takes time. You have to go through a lot of negative information and a lot of negative dialogue with self, because people can
Mhm.
say anything to you, but when your confidence rises at a certain level, those words won't hurt you as much because you've taken the time to break yourself all the way down, separate yourself into bits and pieces, and then you can be rebuilt. And so when anyone tries to penetrate that, once they see you and hear what you're saying, your confidence and your attention and your will is going to make them move away. They're going to have to say things behind your back, if at all, but they will respect you enough too when they see you to answer you back, because that takes time to
Yep.
understand you. When you understand yourself, people understand you better. They may not believe in you or agree with you, but they understand you. And understanding your own self is the greatest way to speak. That's the greatest words, is the greatest word you tell to yourself about being confident, about being
Absolutely,
accountable,
Jesse.
about loving, about caring for others in a way that can bring out their best selves so you can be your best self. I think that is the greatest way to speak, because that's the true magic. Magic is how you feel for yourself. And that creates alchemy around you, and everyone else begins to change. That's the true alchemy of words in itself, because words are
Absolutely.
spells. Words are magic. They cast different feelings of doubt and of joy. And if we're able to be with ourselves and break ourselves down to be rebuilt, we can cast wonderful thoughts to everyone around us with challenges, yes, but we can cast things that can change the entire
It's
landscape of everyone around us. Even as one person, your one positive word can stop someone from hurting themselves or hurting
I
others.
actually had that situation recently, Jesse,
Crazy.
where my conversation with them, I was told, stop them from hurting themselves,
Mm,
like significantly
love
hurting
that.
themselves.
Love
And
that.
this is why it is so unbelievably important to me to keep with the power, to keep reminding people of the power of the spoken and unspoken word,
Yes.
because they're both just as powerful.
Hmm.
And so much stuff is happening around mental health,
Yes.
and the mental health of youth is declining at a rapid rate. Kids are committing suicide. That is a permanent solution to a very temporary problem, but
Yes.
they don't know that. Or maybe they do have some understanding of that, but the pain is just too great. And
Yes.
it's because of what people are saying through their words and through their actions. Because let's remember, we're talking about the power of words. And yeah, when we talk about that, a lot of times we mean the spoken word,
Hmm.
but our actions speak. Our
Yes.
actions are words too. And that was one of the things I wanted to bring up here today. Your actions actually speak louder than your words,
True.
but they are words.
True.
There's different ways to express oneself. And
Hmm.
even people who are nonverbal because of a disability or a tragedy of some sort, they have words. They're just expressing them in a different with a different modality.
Hmm.
So we need to kind of expand our definition or our understanding of the word words, and look for different ways that people are expressing those words.
Yes. That's well said, Sharon. That's
Wow,
well
Thank
said.
wow, wow. Words, in fact, it's even before words, it's thought and it's energy. So the non-verbal.
Yeah.
For instance, if I say, if I'm in front of you and I say it means no, the non-verbal. If it means yes, well, of some cultures it might be different, but like
Mm.
it depends on the culture. But it's not only the words; it's the non-verbal, the energy, the tone of the voice, the posture. So there is so, and even in the writing you can sense the tone, and at some point you can also say, are they visual, auditive, or kinesthetic? Because sometimes they are using words like I see, or I hear you, or so
Mm.
there is so much to
you.
unpack on there. So thank you again, Dr. Constant, for sharing. I'm just sharing again what she said because it's really important that you are speaking her language, and that's it. What do you think, Jesse?
Thank you. She's right
Yeah,
about that.
and
Wildfire.
Gossip
to
is on
Jesse's
fire. Gossip is
to Jesse's
dangerous.
fire, to Jesse's
Yeah.
fire, and to his point and Dr. Constance's point, I
Thank
just
you.
want to say that the inner work has to be done,
Yes.
and that's where the reframing comes in.
Hmm.
There's multiple meanings to almost every word in the English language and in other languages as well. So just because somebody criticized you and used a word in a certain way, you can reframe that. And if I may use myself as an example for a second, I was often told growing up that I was way too sensitive, way too emotional, and way too passionate. And these were things that I thought, oh my goodness, I need to change these things about myself. But these were also things that I knew I couldn't change about myself and didn't want to change about myself.
Hmm.
But as a young kid, I didn't know I didn't want to. I
Right.
thought I wanted to because people were responding negatively. But as I got older, I realized, well, wait a minute, I don't want to change these things. And so these words were starting to have a negative connotation
Hmm.
about about them for me and about myself for me. And then I woke up one day, and it was probably with the help of therapy, because back in the day I did go to therapy,
Mhm.
where I realized that no, I am these things, and I'm going to wear these things proudly because I can change what they mean. To be passionate about something and to be driven and motivated
Yeah.
and not let go, that's a really great quality. And if I'm emotional and sensitive, that goes with being passionate. So I just need to reframe how I view myself around those words. And if other people want to have the definitions that they want to have of those words and of me, then I've decided to let them have them. And
Mhm.
again, that goes back to finding the people, finding the tribe that are going to build you up, and but also understand you for the whole person that you are, which includes your faults,
Yeah.
because we all have them.
Mhm.
So you should be able to show up with your words, your body language, your silence. You should be able to show up as the whole package,
Yeah.
and your true tribe is going to support you at any space that you're in.
Mhm. Well
Yeah,
said, Sharon.
I just wanted to jump into what the shares then. Also, having those that the tribe, your community that's going to be honest with you, right? So we may speak sometimes and we may not even know that we've just made an insult to someone, right? That's not our
Mhm.
intention, because sometimes that may happen. So having those real honest conversations, whether it's in a platform like what we're doing here in a public setting or in private, are also important. Like, don't sugarcoat it with me. Just be real and be honest and transparent when we communicate, because that's how
Mhm.
we get our message across, but they also get their message across to us. So,
Yep.
Sharon, I love that. And I also appreciate you bringing also the mental health aspect regarding our youth, because, there are our leaders that are coming up in the world, and we are raising them. Me, you, Sharon. I'm not sure Jesse has any children, but Dr. Constance, um, we're raising them. And so, how we
Mhm.
react to these situations when it comes to our communication styles, we're learning also.
Mhm.
So, it's just an interesting way of listening to the shares and the way we all hear
Well,
and process the information.
Mhm.
to that point, if I may add, in terms of the youth, I know that with my own son, like I said, I grew up in a household where children were seen and not heard. That has not been the way that I have raised my son. He is very seen and very heard within my home. And I've also empowered him and encouraged him to speak his voice. He struggled with this, but to speak his voice outside of our home. And he actually shut down outside of our home a lot more than I was hoping for, because he had social anxiety, but it was also brought on a little bit. It wasn't the only reason, but it was his social anxiety was brought on partially because he was being shut down when he was trying to speak, um, his truth.
Mhm.
So that wasn't the only reason, but I have encouraged him, and I have made sure that we have an open line of communication, and that includes that and this is not only with him. To Martha's point, this is with anybody. And I think I said this earlier, even today. I own that I'm going to screw up with my words sometimes, more than I wish sometimes.
Mhm.
But when it's been brought to my attention, either by myself or by another person's reaction or by another person's words, I will then go to that person and I will own that I misspoke with my words. And
Mhm.
I do this even with my teenage son, where I say, look, mom screwed up. I'm not sorry that I had the feeling that I had. I'm not sorry that I was angry or hurt by what you said, but I am sorry for how my words affected you. And we have that open dialogue, and I have that open dialogue with my clients. I point out when they're using words that I feel are hurtful either to me or to other people that they're telling me about. And I also take a step back, because even as a coach, I can misstep sometimes. And I let people know I misstepped, because I want to bring the awareness and the respect to mental health
Mm.
that physical health gets.
Mhm.
We don't shame people for having diabetes. We don't shame people for having high blood pressure or, God forbid, cancer. But we've come a long way. For those of you who are going to say to me, well, we've come a long way. We have come a long way, but we still have a hell of a long way to go when it comes to mental health.
It's true.
There's still so much shame and so much hiding. And for most of our youth right now to be having mental health issues says a lot about our society and things we need to make a difference, because they are the future leaders of tomorrow.
Mhm.
That is just a fact. And so give me 1 second, Ollie, so I don't forget this point. What legacy do you want to leave? Because for me, I want to leave a legacy where people remember me for who I am, what
Mhm.
I stood for, and the words that I used to support that. It doesn't matter to me. It's not going to matter how much money is in my bank account. It's not going to matter if I still have a car in my driveway.
Mhm.
So, your legacy is built for me. My legacy is built around my words and my actions, which are another uh, tree branch of my words.
Mhm.
So, thank you for letting me say that, Ollie, before I forgot that point, because I've been wanting to say it and I keep forgetting it.
Mm.
And I know you want to say something, so go for it.
Yeah, so I had three things I will share really quickly. There was the first fact is the awareness. Like it's not about words, but there are two particular events. The first event, it was a long time ago, but at some point I had with my avatar my watermelon. I don't know, probably it was a long time ago, but now I have another avatar on Zoom. But at some point I had my watermelon avatar, and it was like sharing my joy, my energy, my with my watermelon smile, but also the fact that it was like during the pandemic, and it was for me the message: I want to breathe, I want to get out of my cage. But
Mhm.
at some point, was at least a brave woman, Afro American, that told me that this could be hurting people from the black community because of the watermelon sign. And the irony now is that the watermelon is now used for Palestine. So you don't know when you are hurting, as long as there is someone that is talking to you about that. Yes, then you know, and then you have the power to decide. The second thing is that 2 to 3 years ago was a Zoom session, and then there was someone on Zoom, and then you see a dog coming on screen, and one person on the room was triggered because he had trauma in her
Mm.
childhood with a big dog. So it was like the awareness, the emotional intelligence to say, okay, I apologize for that, and for the other person to be able to be safe to express, I'm sorry, but I feel really activated, triggered because I've seen your dog popping into your screen. So it's the
Mhm.
same about words. And then the third was really recent, someone that I really admire. I can send the details in the comments because he is from UK, and he is having he is acting for empowering the autistic community through his child, who is called famously the Joshi man. And he shared the story that a few days ago he was in his restaurant, favorite restaurant, with his child, and a client was really jumping off, really shouting, and say, "Could you just stay at home with your retarded child, whatever?" You know the famous R word, and
Mhm.
that's really triggering. That's really triggering to have this kind of things when people cannot regulate themselves, their emotions, to cope with something, or to say, okay, can you just please, instead of jumping on the and then expressing our irritation. So I think the most important is to have emotional maturity, and that's not sadly in all people, because some people are still not emotional regulated, and they are expressing in a way that is shocking, that is truly shocking. And this is the case for autistic people, also the immigrant community, the homeless. I was thinking about you, Marsha, also about that, and also about the person having motricity challenges. I try to not use the famous word, but it's
Ali,
challenging for every community, in fact.
Ali too. In terms of disabilities, there are a lot of disability diagnoses that come that emotional dysregulation comes along with, and there needs to be more education around that because, like the autistic person who has difficulty regulating their emotions and therefore will come across in a different way, there needs to be more understanding and education around that so that the people around in the scenario or in the experience can react differently. Because when people react right now, what might be out of ignorance because they don't know any better, but when people react negatively and start saying, you need to calm down, can you control yourself, can you control that kid, that just amps their emotional dysregulation up even more. And so um, I think I'm so glad that you brought that point up, Ali, because I work with a lot of parents and a lot of young people who have emotional dysregulation as part of their, for lack of a better word, because it's a true factual word, diagnosis. And they don't have the words or the ability to articulate the words to express their emotions. So it comes out in a very, where they'll start jumping or flapping or yelling or screaming. And so when that happens, I encourage people to take a step back. And I know it's not easy. I know this stuff is, it sounds, it's simple, but it's not easy. Okay. There's a difference between those two words. So I'm not saying that you're going to go, oh, this person might be emotionally dysregulated for a reason they can't control. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying try and become aware that there might be something, another reason for this experience, and take the step back before you react. Try and become more responsive as opposed to reactive, because those individuals can't help being reactive. But for those of us that can, then I believe that we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to society at large, for those of us that can, to work at becoming more responsive and give a little bit more grace to those that are being more reactive because they may not be able to control it.
True.
What a
Well said.
great share. Go ahead, Jesse, before I jumped in.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just saying, well said. You go ahead.
I'm going to be leaving after this, but Sharon, what you just shared regarding, oh my gosh, it just went away, guys.
Different
Oh my goodness.
disabilities.
So, no, but like having, before you react, right? When you get a message or you're in person with someone and you're having a conversation, before you react, how do you process the information? Are you taking a breath? Are you just listening before you react? I mean, it all really depends on us, how we're going to react. So thank you all so much. I have to jump off, but it was such a great conversation. I'll catch the replay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being here.
Muchas
Thank you.
gracias, Marsha.
Thank you, Denise, and you're very welcome.
Oh yeah, yeah. You, I just seen the comment of Denise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. More grace, indeed, and
Very true.
that's our true strength is that as we are kind of lotus flowers, that we can elevate others and elevate ourselves with grace, and to find a way to not adding to the chaos, to try
Hmm.
to elevate and to try also to get out of the animal instinct, because
Hmm.
else it will always repeat the violent cycle. Oh, you did me this, I will do you that, and you did me this, like it's happening for decades in two countries right now. And I think it's the best is to see how could we communicate and evolve with respect. We have the right to disagree with some or all parts of what we are saying,
Hmm.
but I am wishing well for Trump. By the way, I disagree with him, but and I have the right to disagree because he's doing things, in my view, that is really destructive. But I'm not in the wish of him to be ill. So it's like not giving the power also to people. And more I feel like we have all
To
darkness and
yourself.
light within us. And so I follow a program right now, and I'm really deeply transformed about that, because there is amazing things from Dr. Eager. And a few days ago, I was watching a session with the grandson of Viktor Frankl. And Edie Eager said herself, we have all, at some places within us, part of Hitler and a part of Mother Teresa. And we have all our Auschwitz camp, even if it's not really Auschwitz. We have all our inner darkness, our inner battles
Mm.
that we don't know others. We don't know others' battles.
Very true.
And so I think the most important is
Absolutely.
to do the best to be kind with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because if we are kind with ourselves, we are in more predisposition to be kind with others. Because I think people that are not kind with others is because they are not kind with themselves. They are like
Exactly.
a bit of angriness within us.
Amen, Ollie. Well said.
It's true. It's true. You're constantly beating yourself up because of the things that you never thought you could get or the things you had taken away from you. And so everyone else is a battering ram for that anger. And you
Yep.
can't really see it because sometimes you're so clouded. It's like if you're in a fog, all you can see is maybe your fingers in front of your face. You can't see
Exactly.
5 or 10 feet. And so everything that's
Yep.
within the five fingers or whatever, you're going to attack. But everything you're attacking is just a reflection of the things you've never thought about dealing with. You have to have a sense of pride and a sense of love for yourself. If you can have a sense of love and a sense of pride and understand that, like you was talking about, Ali was talking about the darkness. The
Yep.
darkness is a part of you. The thing about it is we're trying to forget the darkness, like, oh, the darkness, let it go. Where did it come from? The
We've got to
darkness
grow from the
is there.
darkness.
Yeah, the
We've got
darkness
to.
is here and the goodness is there, and you're in between. And so you have to realize we have to meld the two because, like, okay, your dark side. I like to go party. I want to go hang out. That's the dark side, right? Oh, I just want to go to sleep on time. That's the good side. Is it really? It's just two halves of the same coin. We have to meld the two and learn how to
Absolutely.
control the two. Don't destroy one without the other because that's what makes the world great.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. The world is chaos. The world is we're in space. We're in a planet hurling through space. So there's so much going on around us that's affecting how we think. The moon affects how we think. The sun affects how we think. It affects the words that we use. It affects the crops. It affects every single thing. So we're all interconnected in this environment. We have to
Yep.
understand this energy we have today. The energy that we have today is lighting. It's lighting the world. And so when we walk outside with this energy, we have to be cautious about how we're able to accept other people's energy. Because if you accept the wrong energy, it's going to have a reverberating effect. which is going to shatter you for even a short time or a long time. So spend more time purifying your mind with positive imagery, with affirmations, with going to the park, finding places to activate the pleasure and the creativity of your brain so you can speak kindly to others.
Yep.
Go into nature, study a society, study yourself, study nature, study the world. Look at what's happening, not just what's happening right now, but look at what's really happening and see how your environment is truly affecting how you speak. Because then once you see and step outside of this reality and see the overall scheme of the planet, you'll begin to understand that I should have more respect for myself because I'm not alone. A lot of times people speak negatively too because they feel like they're alone. But in reality, you're connected. Everybody depends on each other. You depend on the bus, you depend on the food system, you depend on the power grid. All these things affect how you speak. And if you think about the interconnectedness of society, that will change how you direct your words to other people because you'll have more care and you'll have more concern for them when you're talking. Everything is connected. There's no one thing without you could be on your own forever. That's great. But you still depend on the words and thoughts of others. You depend on someone saying something good to you or someone to believe in you because you have an idea, you're working on a project. You depend on those words to come towards you either positively or negatively. And you go ahead, Sharon.
Agreed. No, well said, Jesse. And I love your passion. I love your Jesse energy.
Appreciate you.
But you're welcome. But what I wanted to say was something that I took a note on so I wouldn't forget. And it brings me back to when we were talking about reframing and how, certain words became to have a certain meaning for us depending on how others were using them in relation to us or other people that we witnessed. And so when we're younger, like I grew up in a household of children being seen and not heard, just to use that as an example again. um, I had to then reframe the reframe or get rid of certain phraseology that was no longer serving me. I developed a framework of words and non-spoken language and body language and silence that served me to survive my childhood, right? But I don't need them to serve me in the same survival way that I needed them to as a child. Because as an adult, I have my own ability to say, no, I can be seen and heard. You're not going to squash me. So the point that I wanted to make is alongside the reframing, you may find there are some words or phrases that you completely throw out of your vernacular and words that you choose to use. But I think there comes, we all have said that it comes with awareness. And part of that awareness is knowing what the words were doing for you at the time. So when somebody said something critical to you as a child, you developed either a word or an image related to a word that either was negative, and for some, you also developed that counter image where it helped you survive that blow. But when you no longer need something to serve you in the same way, you need to reframe it in order for you to be able to move forward. One of my clients went silent when she was a kid because it was safer when things got out of control in her house to go silent and not say anything, even though she was scared out of her mind and wanted to defend her mom who was, experiencing abuse. She knew to stay silent. So in her relationships, she was staying silent. Well, she no longer needs to stay silent because that served her when she was a kid. It protected her. There's no doubt in my mind that if she had spoken up, she would have been hurt verbally and physically, but it protected her. But she no longer needs that protection skill. So now she needs to find a different voice. So that's what I wanted. That's what I had written down that I wanted to share.
No,
So
that was well said, Sharon. Thank you for sharing it. That was great, Sharon.
Welcome,
That was
CJ.
great.
Hi guys. told you I have like sexy
Hi,
voice
CJ.
today.
Thank you for joining us with even with your raspy voice. So
Yeah. I even told my manager, I'm
You are
like,
the
how do I
cherry on
lecture
our
for
cake.
6 hours with this voice? But we'll see. I really love what you guys are sharing. And Jesse, I love the vibe. I just want you to know.
I appreciate you.
No, because a lot of people, when they talk about the ones who are saying be aware, are actually not the ones who's aware.
Mhm.
It's so weird. It's like this oxymoron, and people are like, you need to find balance. There is no such thing as balance. No such thing. I find harmony.
Mm.
Harmony
harmony and synergy, but there is no
makes
balance.
sense. There is no balance. Like, okay, if this is more in here and this is less, and you're trying to do that, that is not balance. But they're harmonized together to brush your hair, right? It's the same thing. It's like work-life balance. No such thing. You're gonna be more at work than you are at home during the day. It's just the way it is. But you have to find harmony to spend time with your kids, to spend time with your family, to spend time with your, with whatever you need for yourself. So harmony is what I am. And then I also have this thing with people saying I'm heart centered, and I'm looking, do you know what that means? Right? Like, it's all about your heart, but their actions and their words does not align. Right? I'm off my rocker. I was like, you know what? We're gonna find a better word that differentiate people like Ollie, who is saying something but doing something at the same time. I call them my soul-hearted people. When you see people passionate about helping other people, it literally exudes in their body, their compassion, their everything comes out. That I feel that it's within their soul. They were made for that, to really make a difference. The only problem is sometimes we also surround ourselves, but unbeknownst to us, we surround ourselves with people that might not be for us, but thinking that they are for us. That is something that I'm struggling with, I think, for the last 6 months. And I finally figured out, okay, these people are not for me. Peace, right? And so that's hard for a friend, a business person, and just all around trying to help people. Because I'm neurodivergent, I do have ADHD, so I can make 10 projects all at once. But that doesn't mean I don't have feelings. That doesn't mean I don't feel and see what you're doing, right? So, like what Sharon said, hey, distance yourself. Silence is sometimes a good breaker, right? But for me, silence is necessary because I'm doing a million projects. Just because I'm silent doesn't mean I'm distancing myself. It just means I'm busy. Like, literally, I'm busy. Ollie will sometimes message me, and then he leaves me a voice message. Are you okay? Are you mad?
Well,
I was like, no, no,
silence
no.
also
I'm
doesn't
literally
mean
trying to do this anthology and this anthology and this publicity. And he's like, oh, okay. But Ollie
silence
knows.
also doesn't mean that you have nothing to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
CJ, but silence doesn't mean that you have nothing to say or that you have nothing valuable to contribute.
Yeah.
Silence just means you might be busy. Silence also means that you've reached an awareness, that you're not going to waste your valuable oxygen on trying to get a point across to somebody that has no desire to be open to your perspective, even to the point of agreeing to disagree with your perspective. They're just not open to hearing it. So why waste your valuable energy and your valuable oxygen? So
True.
you just choose silence. I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing silence.
Nope.
And
Nothing at all.
but being silent does not mean, to your point, CJ, and it's very valid and very well taken. It was very well said. Being silent does not mean that you have, nothing to say. It means I'm busy, I'm doing something, or I just don't have the energy to partake in this right now. It can mean a lot of things. And I think, to your point, CJ, that's another thing we have to be aware of with words and communication in general, is not to put our preconceived connotations and what we think is our understanding of a certain word or action, not to project that on somebody else's action or words.
Yeah. Culture has a lot to do with it too.
True.
Culture.
True.
I came from an Eastern culture, and my husband's white, Caucasian. Okay, so like the first year of our marriage, we've been married 21 years next week, and
Congratulations.
the very
Happy
first 5 years
anniversary.
was not happy because when we're arguing, I'm East Asian, so out of respect, you bow down, you look down because that's just how I was raised. And my husband's Caucasian. He's like, "You're not respecting me. You're not looking me in the eye. I'm talking to you." I'm like, "Dude, we're in this wrong playing field right now. Respect for me is about like looking down, and you is looking at my eyeballs. We're not communicating, right?" So sometimes also it's about like knowing the culture and where they came from. I
Mhm.
don't care. I've worked with Nestle. I work with big organization. I have 10,000 employees all over the world. I don't care what strategies you have. If you do not understand one's culture, game over.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
That's
There's
It,
very true.
adaptation. You have to be able to adapt to everything around you. If you can adapt, everyone else adapts. Because once they see you're trying, they will try. But when you try that hard in, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, nobody wants to deal with you. People like people who they can talk to. You may not always have the skills, but if you're relatable and your dialogue is able to be in sync with their dialogue, whether it be culturally, whether it just be music wise, anything that they're like, if you can find a common ground with anyone on the planet, they will never forget you. Just try to find common grounds with people and be human. Be a human being. Don't come in
This
there
is,
with your credentials. Don't come in there with your biases, your pain, and all those things. You
yep,
have to deal with that before you walk into this room because that's not what
absolutely.
this room is all about. Be absent of those things. Be absent
This
minded.
is such a,
This does not play a place in this world or this environment because you're talking about cultural differences. That's a big thing because people watch television and so they have an interpretation of what you might be or what you might not be. But once you meet someone, you begin to understand who they really are. You understand their hates and their likes and the things that they want, and you listen. If you're entering into a place and you want to talk, listen first, use your eyes, and stand strong and stand firm and watch what's happening. And then from there, you can create a conversation just by being present. Because if people see that you're present, they're more likely to actually talk to you because you took the time to be respectful for everyone without even opening your mouth because you're talking in your head because you're talking about silence. Silence means I'm manifesting my thoughts and I'm putting them into action so the words cannot match my thoughts right now because I'm thinking too fast. So I'm doing things really quickly. So I agree with you on that. 100%.
yep.
I agree.
Ali, I think we need to have another room on this topic.
Mm.
What do you
Exactly,
think?
exactly. Because I was thinking for sure that it was like 90 minutes, but even with 90 minutes, it's like, but I'm going to wrap up softly but surely right now. And at the same time, I'm really blessed to have this conversation. And I truly believe that culture eats strategy at the breakfast, this famous quote. No
lunch,
matter what
break,
you are
breakfast.
implementing, if you are not integrating the cultural aspect, then it will really fail. You have to connect with human beings, especially all around the world, and understanding their culture, their value, and their to integrate that in anything that you are doing. That's the same with, for instance, giving some grace on Zoom sessions. What is late? What is on time? For people, on time is 15 minutes later, and for others, like on time is on time on the second. So there are
Yep.
so much aspects. So now I'm going to show some comments. Thank you again, Yolanda, and everyone for joining, including the replay team. And now I'm passing the mic for the final thoughts about our conversation. So first, Sharon, do you have an event in the next days or weeks?
Do I have what? Sorry, Ali. Do I have what?
Sorry, do you have an event or something that is hot that you would like to
Well,
share?
I think if it's okay with you, Ali, I'm going to unveil what we're about to put together. I
Okay.
am going to be hosting a LinkedIn audio room. Um,
Woo!
Ali is going to
Congratulations.
thank you. Ali has agreed to run the co-host and run the back end and make sure that everything goes smoothly. And I want to give Ali credit for helping me come up with the name, and the name of the audio room will be Riseability, because it will give me and Ali as well, because I will have him on co-hosting, the ability to talk about rising above, but rising above in many areas such as mental illness, disability, languages, all of it. Like it, we wanted to come up with a title that would allow us to talk about all these things and not be limited. And it's really important to both of us that part of our mission, our individual mission and our mission together, is that people start focusing on people's assets and not so much focusing on people's perceived deficits. Yeah, it's important to help our youth kind of, shrink their deficits. If they're diagnosed with a deficit, it's important to shrink that if we can. But we also need to focus on assets. And at some point for children, we need to stop trying to shrink the deficit and pivot to focusing on the assets that they have, because everybody in the world has talents and gifts that they're meant to bring to the world. And for people with ADHD, and my son has ADHD, so I want to make that very clear that I'm not, yes, but there are elements of having ADHD that people would perceive as a deficit, but it can be turned into an asset. Like Dr. CJ says, she has the kind of ADHD where she can do 10,000 projects at one time, because that's just the way her brain works. And it's a great quality for her. There are other people with ADHD that are like her. There are other people with ADHD that they can't focus on that many things at one time. But what is a perceived deficit could also be turned into an asset. But besides that, people have assets not connected to their deficits, and we need to empower them to illuminate those. So that is what part of what we are hoping to do with the Riseability audio room.
I can't wait. I can't wait, Sharon. I think that's good because you guys is going to change how people are talked. There's a lot of audio rooms on LinkedIn. There's a lot of live streams on LinkedIn, right? And from what I've noticed, anyway, is that there's a lot of talk but no action. It's nice. We talked about our problems. I can give you a laundry list of my problems. Can we solve one of them? Like, can we
that's
solve
that's
one?
one of the things. I don't mean to interrupt you, CJ. I'm sorry. That's one of the things that I hope to bring with my audio room is and I know Ali and I have talked about this, I'm very solution oriented. I'm very strategy oriented. So I want to give people strategies within my audio room. And I also want to give the speakers that I invite on stage to be able to share their stories, but also give strategies.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't want it just to be about the problems, because I'm not going to ignore the problems. The problems are fact, and that's why we're here. We're trying to solve problems and help people. But I want to engage in the solution as well. And really quickly, Jesse, can I share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, well, if you want to share it as part of your share, I'll only share a little bit. So Jesse and I are working on with Michelle Whiteside, who couldn't join us today, on a program. It's called the Thrive Alliance. And really what it talks about is Together We Thrive. And it is going to be a community center kind of framework, but it's going to be brick and mortar. It's going to be online. It's going to be in parks. It's going to be mobile as well as brick and mortar and online. And it's for people to come together. We're going to have activities. We're going to have programs, and we're going to have lessons that people can learn how to connect and come together, because we're very fragmented in our society right now. Specifically, families are on a hamster wheel that they can't get off of. So we want to give families and community and businesses, business owners and things, to be able to come together and bring back the village, because it takes a village to raise the next generation of society, and it takes a village to get through today. So that is my quick version of what Thrive Alliance is planning on doing. And Jesse, I'm sure you'll add more to it.
Yes.
So yeah, that's all I had to say.
Am I up? No.
Ollie, can Jesse go? Should Jesse go next?
Yeah,
Or no?
of course, it's the turn of
Okay.
Jesse.
Yeah, so like Sharon was saying, we have the Thrive Alliance, which is about building communities and giving them something healthy and sustainable for their society. Because as we know it, globally, we're being affected mentally, physically, financially, and technologically. So this program will give them the active tools mentally so they can deal with life stresses by having breakout rooms and talking about relationship issues, talking about dad and mom issues, and having the children come together to where they can be actively involved in the development of the household, and also teaching them about tech building, teaching them how to build apps, how to build robots, how to do farming, because farming is so important for our society. We've gotten away from that. We spend too much time ordering food and doing things that are destructive against our body. By teaching them to cultivate their own land, that gives them the ability to be strong and stand on their land and build for their futures. And another program we have as well is financial literacy. Lots of children don't know how to manage their budget, and a lot of adults don't know how to manage it. So we all learn over time, but by talking to the kids now while they're young and breaking it down into a reasonable lesson plan that they can understand, because kids are incredibly intelligent. And if we break it down in a way they can understand, they will be able to get out of debt and not be debt slaves or debt servants, and thereby creating a society where they can lend money and also invest in money, because that's what we're talking about too. When you have wealth, invest it back into your community, invest it into useful projects, so that way most of your resources won't always go to another nation or
They're
another neighborhood.
self-sustaining.
Redistricting is really affecting a lot of neighborhoods. When they redistrict, that means the distribution of wealth is going to another neighborhood. By empowering these kids to use their wealth strategically, spiritually, and mentally, by talking to their parents, by building a strong bond at home, these things will give them the capabilities to thrive in the Thrive Alliance and be strong for the next 20 to 30,000 generations, because what we're trying to build will be duplicated online, and it's going to be around everywhere, because everybody needs a place to feel home. Because say you're depressed at home, you had a problem with your dad, you had a problem with your mom, or even they're not there. The Thrive Alliance, because Sharon is there, Michelle is there, I'm there, and other people will be there just to listen, not to always talk and tell you what to do. We'll have places where we can talk about systems, we can talk about scenarios, we can give you the tools that you already have, because we're just opening the door. Because once we open the door in the Thrive Alliance, this is your home now. We're trying to create like a Mount Olympus, pretty much, like a gigantic place that's going to empower people to be the best, because you already have it, but we have to start small so we can branch out and do everything. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Good. I wish you guys good luck. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
back to the community.
Yeah.
But I definitely need to talk to you on the side note. I think that's something that I will go behind for sure. I pick and choose projects. I have no time. If you're going on my calendar, you won't be able to talk to me until October. But I think that one needs a side note for sure. I think that's something that I can go behind. For the community. If it's all about community and it's all about for
It
other
is.
people, I will go behind that. If it's
It's
something about
all about
me, no. It's
no.
like
It's all
I
about
can't
community. It's
support that, because there's enough of narcissist people out there that it's all about them. I can't do that. I
no. It's
love building communities, so that is Jesse. I commend you for doing that, and I appreciate you leading that, because there's 8 billion people. We all need it. And then if you find someone who's really good at farming, please send them my way. I
yeah.
am a
It's
serial plant murderer. I kill cactuses. I kill air plants. I'm not good at
it's
any plants at all. I'm like, oh my god. But
CJ.
yeah, send them my way, okay? So
It's
Sharon,
all
if you
about
know somebody, let me know. Send it my way too.
no doubt, CJ. But it's all about community. That's why Jesse and I came together. We met on a different, in a LinkedIn community, and once we heard each other speak, I immediately reached out to Jesse and said we have to connect. And the next thing you know, the beginnings of the Thrive Alliance started to come together because we want. It's about teaching kids and even parents right now, in real time. You know, the skills that we need for connection in real time. Connect.
Michelle,
Yeah. So.
me too.
So.
I have a death tongue. Like, I feel bad for plants. Like, please just stay beautiful that side. My gardener hates me. My gardener hates me. For sure. He gives
So
me a look
Ali,
every
what do
time.
you have that you're working on?
For me, I have a special session next Saturday. I will do my best to make it happen. Really planning the session probably 5 to 6 days before, because people that knows me knows that, oh, let's run the session in 10 hours. But I need to plan this more really in advance, because this Saturday, no, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 13th of July, I had intentionally planned a Saturday mental health about education. And I will invite three amazing sisters that are all from the Hounds of Business, by the way. So kudos for Mike. Christine, I don't know the family name, but there is Christine Nori, I know. And also,
Christine Jones,
Christine Jones. Yep.
yeah,
Christine
that's
Jones,
it.
Kristen Nori.
And also Tabata Baron, who is
Yeah,
Yep.
also in the education.
the
And it will
dynamic
be,
trio.
yeah, and that will be about bridging the gap between schools and parents, and fostering mental health for the younger generations. So I'm really eager to do that. To do the best that I can do is to just be there, just to be really present, but in the background. But of course, I will be present on stage. But to bring the light to others, to bring
Yes,
my heart and my chocolate and my light and my moonlight
It's the
so
only
but
that
chocolate,
people
bro.
can.
I
Yeah,
just want to say, Ali, that in bringing light to others, you're bringing the light to yourself. And I will say, for me, because you bring the light to others, I I am steadfast, and you know this because we've talked about this, but I am steadfast. And I know it's hard for you to shine your own light. So I am right there with you to shine your light as bright as you're shining other people's, because
Mhm.
brother,
Thank you
you
for doing
deserve
that,
it.
Sharon. Thank you
And
for doing that.
so,
Because Ollie does not. Sometimes she's like, I'm
no,
like,
I
no,
know
bro,
he's
you have
always
to.
saying, I'm always saying,
Yeah.
he's always saying he's in the background. And while he is going to help me technically, he's not allowed to just, he knows this. He's not allowed to just stay in the background. I am bringing him out of his comfort zone as he is helping me come out of my comfort zone even further.
Good.
So I am not going to let this stream, even though it's gone longer than we expected, which is absolutely fine. And I'm thrilled, but I am not going to let this stream end without people knowing the amazing light that Ali is. And
Yep.
Ali is not allowed to just be in the background. So I know he says next weekend he will be in the background, and he will be in the background, but I will be there to make sure that he
Shines.
comes
Yeah.
to the forefront and shines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's been doing that light, and that's how I met him, through audio rooms. We do karaoke, live and non-live. I love Ollie because he's different in his energy, and he's always a giving heart with no intentions behind what he's giving. That's one thing I love about Ollie, is he's giving because he wants to give, not because he's giving he's thinking about whatever's right. And that's one thing I love about Ollie. I'm gonna go because I do have to feed my family. But I'm gonna tell you guys, tomorrow's audio room is 50 inspirational. So I'm gonna announce who the 50 inspirationals are, in the audio room. So check your email. I see a lot of
Wait,
people.
I have a question,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
yeah.
So
Go ahead.
you're going to announce who the 50 inspirationals are. Um, but the videos for those, for the 50 inspirationals, is until Friday, right? The deadline for the
Yeah.
videos.
So what
Okay.
happens in 50 inspirational connections is that there were like 175 people who
You
applied, and I
apply.
picked and choose who are. And you guys already got the email. The problem is it's in your spam and you guys can't find it. So I'm
No,
going to announce
I
it
found it
tomorrow.
because I've been checking my spam. I found it because I've been checking my
Oh,
spam.
good,
But
good, good, good.
that's why I was
No,
asking.
here's how it works. So
Okay.
once you get the email, now you have the video, 5 minutes video that I will do branding for free for you. But
Right.
make sure you answer those 2 specific questions or you get
Going to.
rejected, right? That video is not going to be featured on YouTube until August because
Okay.
I want a stage for everybody who's amazing on LinkedIn and get the shine on all of you in August. So July will be me going eyeballs editing for all
Okay.
your videos. Yeah, so you don't have to
Okay.
worry about it. I just need to tell the people tomorrow who the 50 inspirationals are because
I
some
got
of
you.
you guys didn't find your email until like Sharon just said, I just found it in spam. It is in your spam, people. Check it.
But it's really
Um,
weird. I will say this to anybody who's having LinkedIn glitches. I get some emails from you and other people, Dr. Constance, in my inbox. And then I get other emails from your exact same email that go to my spam. I don't know why.
no,
I'm
I
just
have 4
saying.
email. No, 6 emails, but I use that one for my TV because I have my TV
Right.
show. So that was on my TV, but maybe my regular one will get there. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
see
don't
how
know.
that goes.
But anyway,
Yeah. So congratulations, Sharon. Now that
thank
I
you.
announce it,
Thank you.
and Ollie too. Oh, I'm
Yes.
so
Yeah.
happy.
I love you to the
Jesse and I need
moon.
to
I
talk.
love you to the
Jesse,
moon,
we're, we're,
CJ.
we're gonna try to squeeze you in because I love your
Let's
vibe,
do
bro.
it. I would
I love
appreciate
it.
it. It's an
I
honor.
love people who are for community. If it's not just all about me, I'm with you. I
Yeah.
will bring the down the earth for you. Like that's
Let's
how
do
I am.
it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Press
There is
release
the
rumor.
Sun
By
Moon
the way,
Split.
guys, if you guys are watching this, it is $1,000 off because it's my birthday month. But that can get you into 700 syndicated links all over the world in any industry. So I'm bringing in branding and strategy down on this people because you all deserve to have highlights, not from this pocket or this pocket to the whole pocket. And I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel to 100,000 and also my Instagram to 100,000. And if you guys have books, let me know. I can put it on my Amazon Global Influencer account as well.
Yeah. And talk
Oh, that's
about your
great.
next anthology also, Rebel for a Cause.
Rebel with a cause. That's right. I told Susanna I'm so excited about this because everybody who is in business right now, who's questioning the status quo, who's questioning all the changed people in the politics and all that, like if you are not happy with what's happening, this is your chance to voice out your opinion. And this one, I don't know yet, it costs a lot of money, but I might put it on 40,000 distribution channels again. We'll see how that goes. Barnes and Nobles, Powell's, all over the world because we did just the book signing on Saturday. That was so amazing. It was an amazing feeling to be in the major book reseller with LinkedIn people in person with me. I was like, how grateful I am. I'm blessed that we can do this, and I am blessed that I can do this because it takes a lot of resources to get it where it needs to be. But if I have it, I'm not a rich person. But if I have it, I will do it for the sake of the community. That's why I'm saying I'm all about community. And I want to change it for my kids. I have 2 daughters. I need it to change it for them. And if it doesn't them, it's my great grandkids. It needs to change.
Yeah.
I'm only one
Oh,
person, but when
I hear
once it's
you.
help, we can do it.
I
Yes.
hear you.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
I love it.
Ali, thank you once again for opening up a space for all of us to talk about these have these very important discussions. Thank you for having me as your co-host on a topic that is one of the many I'm very passionate about. And Jesse and CJ, thank you for joining us here on
Thank you.
stage. And Martha also, and to everybody that has watched and has commented, and
And the replay team.
the replay
Michelle is
team.
here. Chris is here. I don't know
Yep,
who Marcello is, but hello.
yep. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. And the replay team, thank you. Make sure you leave your comments. And anything you want to add, Ollie?
No, just keep shining. And I am light, I am light. That's it. So I'm going to close the room